Team Whiteman, I wish I was coming to you under better circumstances today. I'll get right to the point. We're losing airmen to suicide across the Air Force at an alarming rate. General Goldfein and Chief Wright have directed a tactical pause to look at the causes and reinforce the concept that this is a long fight against an insidious adversary. It's an adversary that's deadly to our airmen as any other adversary that we face in the world today. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit today about some basic assumptions of what we're going to be doing over the next several weeks, and also talk a little bit about resiliency and what we're going to do to improve ourselves as a wing. First of all, starting off with some basic assumptions and where I'm at on this issue. People are the heart of the mission. You hear that all the time, but it's true. And that's something that we have to understand. We have the most technological bomber sitting on our ramp in the entire world, capable of doing amazing things. But without airmen to actually go out there, take care of that bomber, support airmen behind the scenes, making everything else happen, and our aviators that fly it, that bomber is simply going to sit on that ramp and do nothing. You are the heart and the core of the mission. The reality, though, is that with people being the core of the mission, people are also the most complex part of the mission. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different sets of problems. We all have strengths and weaknesses, myself included. And those strengths, weaknesses are what make us human beings, or what make us unique, and what make us powerful. But in many cases, as we're starting to see in the Air Force right now with the trends in suicide, a lot of times people are overwhelmed and are not able to bring their life into balance and unfortunately make that choice. Everyone is different. We all have different problems, different coping skills, and different levels of resiliency. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and how that balance comes together. My second assumption that I want you to understand is that you can and should ask for help. That is something that should be the baseline expectation for airmen across this entire wing and for all our total force partners that work here. There's no stigma associated with asking for help. Preferably, you ask for that help when you're starting to struggle and things are starting to get overwhelming in your life. But more importantly, if you are in a crisis, I need you to step forward right now. I need you to make that choice and come and get help, and know that you're going to have a team that supports you. Third, my leaders and I have your back. But you also have to understand that we have room to grow and do better. We are human beings too. And I have to acknowledge that, and you have to understand that. Not every supervisor is going to respond exactly like you expect, but that's why we have multiple layers in the chain of command. And there's multiple helping agencies on this base that you can approach and get help from. So as we grow and become better leaders and better supervisors, side by side, we need to be standing with you and help you get the help that you need. The mission depends on it, because ultimately, I need you alive and healthy to be here and be part of this mission. Fourth and finally, someone in this wing right now is struggling or perhaps even in a crisis. Statistics will tell you that's true. That person may not know it, but I want them to know that there are people that care about them, there are people that want to help them here in this wing right now. What we have to do over the next several weeks, and then going forward, because this is a process, is we have to learn how to make those connections individually, one-on-one as human beings. Next, I want to talk a little bit about resiliency. It's a word that you hear all the time, and it's a word and a concept that the Air Force has poured a lot of money and energy into over the years to try to help build and help people understand. First of all, resiliency, it's not a bumper sticker, and it's not a singular event, and that's what we have to go into this problem understanding. No one can snap their fingers and create resiliency in our airmen across the Air Force. It takes time, it takes hard work, it takes individual effort and individual connection in order to build resiliency. Some issues surrounding resiliency that we need to talk about. Let's talk about the basic balance that we have in life. Everyone has challenges. We all have challenges from the very beginning of our life all the way to today, and to include me sitting here as the wing commander. With those challenges, we learn to develop coping skills over the years. And the hope is that those two things are in balance, or in most cases, what we find is that our coping skills far exceed the challenges in our life, and we're able to just deal with things as they come up on a day-to-day basis. But I'm here to tell you that life is not always in balance, and there are times as individuals where our challenges exceed our coping skills, and we don't have the ability to actually deal with those things in a healthy manner. And that's where unhealthy behaviors come in, that's where mental crisis comes in, and ultimately, that's what drives, unfortunately, some of our airmen down the path towards suicide. Resiliency as a concept is what helps make up that gap. So when we're overwhelmed and our coping skills are not really taking care of things, resiliency is that well of strength that we can draw on in order to balance those things out and to keep us maybe from getting out of the struggling into a full-blown crisis, but eventually get better and get through those problems so that we continue in our life. Resiliency is different for everyone, and how we build resiliency is different for all of us. For some, it's physical. It may be a workout routine, how we work out in the gym, what we do with our bodies in order to stay healthy. It's mental. It's how we build that mental toughness. Whether that's reading or whether that's going out and studying and learning about the problems that we're going to face in life. It can be social and those connections that we build between individuals in the workplace and at home. And for many of us, it's spiritual as well. The key important point here is that all these things are in flux at all times. And as individuals, we need to understand that about ourselves. But then as supervisors and leaders, we need to understand that our airmen are dealing with a very complex and unique balance in their lives that's constantly changing as things in their lives change as well. Secondarily, we can't just tell people to be more resilient. That is simply not the solution to this problem. I would argue that it's counterproductive. It feeds stereotypes about being tough and not really truly facing the problems that we have in our life. And ultimately, it can reduce the chance that people are actually going to seek help because it basically builds a fear of stigma or a fear of rejection in individuals when they think, hey, I didn't live up to the expectation. I wasn't resilient enough. I wasn't tough enough to get through that problem. That becomes an impediment to people getting help. So just telling people to be tougher, telling people to gut it out, telling people to just be more resilient is not how we're going to be able to solve this problem in the long run. As airmen, dependents, friends, co-workers, and leaders, really as fellow human beings going through this process, we solve this by seeing people that are struggling, or unfortunately we see people that are even in crisis, and then we have to engage to actually help them. That's hard to do sometimes. It's hard to put yourself on a limb and actually go, one, ask for help if you're the person on one side of the equation, but then actually accept that request from somebody and do something about it and really help get them connected to the helping agencies that they need. This needs to be done without judgment. It needs to be done with compassion. That's how we make it safe for people to be able to step forward and say, I need help, and get at the problems that they have in their life. In accordance with General Goldfein's direction, between now and September 15th, we'll be doing events primarily held at the unit level. The intent is to put this in the hands of the squadron commanders and below to find the right time, the right place, and really the right type of event that gets people talking within your units and gets people connecting as individuals. There will be a few videos like this from an expectation management standpoint. There are some excellent videos that have been produced by the Chief and by Chief Wright that we all need to watch and understand. We're also going to have some small group settings where we are going to be soliciting feedbacks on the problem. And really what we want to do is capture your thoughts as individuals on possible solutions. That can be solutions to the broader problem of crisis and suicide in our Air Force, but it also can be solutions to how we can work on resiliency and how we can do things better as a wing in order to connect with people on this issue. Please engage and help make those efforts better in the future. That's what I would ask. General Goldfein wants to hear from you directly on this. The comments that you're going to provide and filter back up are going to go straight to Headquarters Air Force. They're not going to get filtered through 8 layers of different leadership to make sure that we have the exact answer. He wants to hear what you think so that we can get after this problem. I elected to not do a series of commanders calls on this issue. I felt that it felt a little too much like checking the box once again on a resiliency issue. Your time is precious, and I respect that. And also, the real solutions to this problem happen down at the unit level, and they really happen between individuals. And that's where we need to focus our energy when we're getting after this problem. You know, to conclude, I imagine all of you standing in front of me as if we were having a commander's call right now. If I ask the question to the audience, if I asked everyone to raise their hand that was really struggling with something in their life, really struggling with a set of problems, or were really at a crisis point where they were thinking about hurting themselves, I know there would be more than a few people in the audience, just based on statistics, that in their mind would be thinking, yes, I really am struggling right now. I would have very few people, if anyone, actually raise their hand. What I need to do and what I need you to be able to do as a wing as we go forward to really get after this problem is I need you to feel confident that you can raise your hand, that you can tell me that you need help so that we can connect you with the right people. That's how we get after this problem. I want a wing where putting your hand up is met with support without a hint of stigma or negative consequences for you or your career. More than anything else, more than anything that we do, that's how we're going to save our airmen. Thank you for what you do, Whiteman. And what I need you to think about over the next couple weeks as we work through what we're calling this tactical pause to think about the issue is to really reflect both on yourself and as an individual and then also as a leader and supervisor of how you're connecting with people and how are you getting after this problem at the individual level. That's how ultimately we're going to be able to make real headway against the problem of suicide.